Growing up, I was around so much, between the music business and, everything. But, I was sitting back, gaining all that knowledge.
2020, but I can't sing 20, but I can't sing
Dallas. Play whatever you want to play, baby.
Just looking at my beautiful son. Boy, you's a beautiful black king.
The internet is reeling after a bombshell revelation from Justin Dior Combs, the son of legendary music icon Sean Diddy Combs. In a moment that caught everyone off guard, Justin bared his soul, revealing heartbreaking memories from his childhood that shattered the illusion of the lavish, picture-perfect life people assumed he had. Gone was the polished image of a celebrity kid living in luxury. Instead, viewers saw a raw, emotional side of Justin they'd never seen before. In a video that spread like wildfire, Justin appeared visibly shaken, his voice heavy with emotion as he spoke about the hidden pain and trauma of growing up under the spotlight. He didn't sugarcoat a thing. Every word landed like a punch to the gut, unfiltered, real, and deeply personal.
Time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court. But you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there. Chance wasn't there.
Support was promptly expressed by fans. Hashtags calling for accountability, justice, and healing exploded on social media. Not only was what was stated shocking, but so was the speaker. This was neither a former employee nor an outsider. Someone who resided behind the Combs mansion's walls and witnessed everything firsthand was Diddy's own kid. Diddy has long been regarded as a legendary figure in the music industry. He became one of the most important personalities in entertainment as a result of his success, which included creating chart-topping tunes and creating a worldwide brand. However, these recent disclosures have exposed what some have dubbed the empire's secret suffering. In addition to being tragic, the situation is posing important queries. What actually happened in private? In concentrating on the fame and wealth, how much did the world miss? Above all, what is the process of recovery for someone who was raised in a society that valued appearance over inner tranquility? People are no longer merely observing something as it happens. They're asking for actual responses. Furthermore, Justin's narrative is just the start of a longer, more agonizing one. Let's examine what it was actually like to grow up living with one of the most influential musicians. Growing up in a mogul's shadow, life as Diddy's son appeared to be a dream from the outside. Expensive vehicles, high-end clothing, red carpet appearances, and international travel. Justin Combs led a lifestyle that most people could only dream about from an early age. However, Justin claims that the flawless photo was only a front. It was far more intricate behind the scenes. He characterized his early years as both opulent and alone. There were benefits and gifts, to be sure, but there was also pressure. Continual pressure to perform, to smile for the cameras, to act as a brand ambassador for Combs. He claims that he felt the burden of his father's heritage from a young age. It wasn't always cozy or warm inside the house. According to Justin, he frequently felt more like an employee than a kid, with demands to meet, obey, and never be weak. When he did, it wasn't always welcomed. Family friends have already alluded to Diddy's strict parenting methods. It was all about control, achievement, and image. Additionally, some of his kids received harsh private corrections despite receiving public acclaim. According to Justin, the contradiction, public acclaim and private pressure, had a profound emotional impact. Additionally, he talked about feeling alone, surrounded by luxury but not knowing who to trust, and surrounded by celebrities all the time, but rarely feeling heard or noticed himself. Many famous people have heard this story before, but hearing it from someone so close to Diddy has given it a new meaning. Even though Justin hasn't revealed all the information yet, it's obvious that he's beginning to unlock a long locked door. As his story progresses, we learn of his horrific memories that he is now choosing to confront, in addition to his emotional scars.
Disgraced hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs back in court today. The rapper appearing in a beige smock and pants for his pretrial hearing. Federal prosecutors are saying that they were on track to disclose all of the available evidence to the defense by the end of the year. Well, Diddy has been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn following his arrest in September in a federal sex trafficking case. Last week, Combs abandoned what was his fourth attempt to get released on bail. Joining me for more on this is ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. So, Aaron, I know you just essentially left that courtroom. So what do we know about today's hearing?
Well, the prosecutors said they would disclose every piece of evidence that's in their possession by the end of the year. So by December 31st, the defense should have everything. And then the case is going to move toward trial in the spring of next year. Before that,
revealing the dark secret. In the most heartbreaking section of his testimony, Justin disclosed dark secrets from his past that surprised even longtime Combs fans. These were not merely emotional challenges. They were actual traumas. According to Justin, he was frequently exposed to circumstances that no youngster should be in. He described late-night parties at the family's house, where adult behavior was commonplace. He describes occasions when he felt unsafe, when things crossed the line from confusing to inappropriate.
One thing I know for sure is that when it comes to our culture, sometimes we cannibalize our own more than anybody else. And, we've seen the former president of the United States inspire the country to turn into Spider-Man and climb up the Capitol to overthrow the government in the middle of an election. But yet we haven't seen his mugshot or seen his kids handcuffed. I've known Justin for probably 15 years. Quincy, one of his sons, and his other sons. Those are really good kids. So to see them in handcuffs, to see them put on display as criminals, or to be put into the conversation that they somehow are ushering underage kids into the compound for their dad to have their way with them. Those aren't the kids that I know.
Although he didn't specifically mention any individuals or occasions in his most recent video, it was evident from the tone and anguish in his voice. There was a serious incident that affected him for years. Justin also brought up neglect, not just physical neglect, but emotional neglect as well. He claimed that although he had a boss, there were moments when he wanted a father. He cried at times when no one came. There were times when he felt quite alone, even though the house was packed with people. He claimed that these early encounters influenced his perceptions of the world, relationships, and himself. He battled anxiousness, problems with trust, and a strong feeling that he was never good enough. Even as he got older and began to establish himself, he continued to play. He claimed that his inner pain persisted even after watching college football on television. The fact that Justin is now speaking is what makes this powerful. He's not merely narrating his tale. It takes a lot of guts for him to take back his crap. Many admirers claim that his candor could benefit those who were raised in like circumstances, in families where everything appeared to be ideal. However, that wasn't behind the scenes. The following section of the narrative delves even more deeply into the family dynamics and how Diddy's way of life affected more than just his public persona. It had an impact on those closest to him.
Once well known for his extravagant lifestyle and opulent living in his multi-million-dollar mansion, Sean Diddy Combs, a disgraced musician, currently resides in his federal sex trafficking cases trial location. Following his arrest, the defense team of the Bad Boy founder last week battled unsuccessfully to keep the music producer out of federal jail. Now, his new digs housed other well-known prisoners, such R. Kelly, Betty Wap, Sam Bankman-Fried, Ghislaine Maxwell. Unlike the glitzy beauty and riches of Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida, Diddy is being detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. But MDC Brooklyn has been said to be hell on earth with appalling circumstances. Originally established in the early 1990s, the facility, which now houses Diddy, is the only federal jail in New York City, following the closure of 2003 Metropolitan Correctional Center by the Bureau of Prisons in 2021, following various revelations following the suicide of Jeffrey Epstein 2 years before.
That video that you just spoke about was a few months ago when our team broke this disturbing video of Diddy violently assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, better known as the singer, her stage name, Cassie. Now, up until this point, when we broke this video, Diddy had denied the allegations against him. Cassie is one of 10 civil suits against Diddy, 9 of which he is accused directly of sexually assault.
Internal conflicts and family dynamics. When Justin Combs talked about his early years, it was his father's relationship with him that became so complex. Diddy was seen by the public as a strongman, a mentor, and a provider. The relationship between father and son, however, was much more challenging within the home. Justin talked about growing up in a society that valued control above everything else. Diddy was rigorous, methodical, and focused on maintaining the brand while managing his family like a business. That lens was used to filter every choice, every public appearance, and even private discussions. That type of setting might be stifling for a child who is trying to discover who he is.
They came inside the courtroom, and again, this was after Diddy was already sitting down at the defense table. He looked back immediately. He smiled. He beamed up. He waved at at his 2 sons, and just kind of gave them kind of a little bit of, it's a good to see you type of feeling. That's what I was gathering from inside that courtroom. Now, again, I want to remind our viewers that when we're inside federal court, again, there's no cameras, which, Jesse, I'm sure you have already mentioned that part. But, even for us journalists, with the exception of some who get a special permission of that, we just are relying on a notebook, a notepad, a pen, a pencil in order to kind of take notes to see what is all going on.
According to family-related sources, this is nothing new. Indeed, some of Diddy's acquaintances have implied over the years that Diddy's kids were frequently held to high expectations, sometimes without the emotional support they required to achieve them. They were famous and had access to luxury, but they also had very little room to just be children. A vivid picture is painted by Justin's recent testimony. He felt more than just invisible. He didn't feel heard. He talked about being silenced or ignored when he tried to voice his concerns. Many children of well-known parents suffer from this type of emotional detachment. However, it appears that the pressure has increased in this instance. According to family insiders, Diddy and Justin weren't the only ones experiencing difficulty behind closed doors. Although few have come forward, other siblings have apparently had comparable difficulties. The unwritten rule, don't say anything. Preserve the family name.
A lot of just discovery material, which isn't the most fun topic to really talk about, if we're being honest here a little bit. So a lot of things was just turning over evidence, what time frame that evidence will be turned in. And so from what, so the government says that they're on track to produce the discovery by the end of the year, meaning December 31st. They say the investigation is still ongoing. They said that they pulled all the text messages from Combs as well as victim 1 in this case. And then they're kind of proceeding as quickly as possible when it comes to that superseding indictment. So the government was trying to make it clear that, they're still in the process of doing the investigation. It still seems like the superseding indictment is still lingering on in the case.
Diddy's way of living also had a big influence on the atmosphere at home. It was a hectic upbringing because of the late hours, frequent travel, and celebrity guests. According to Justin, there were occasions when prestige and looks took precedence over safety and structure. It is now evident that the harm was caused by multiple incidents. After years of accumulating emotional burdens, Justin finally found it impossible to bear in quiet. People's perceptions of the family are changing as he continues to speak his truth, not as strong or flawless, but as human, imperfect, and now speaking at last.
Noticed whenever I was inside that courtroom that there was a lot of chumminess going on. There was a lot of laughs, a little bit of giggles coming from Mark Agnifilo talking with the prosecutors right before the hearing had started. So they seemed, you wouldn't think that they're in this kind of, fiery battle or anything about the case.
The moment Justin's explosive revelations hit the public eye, It was like striking a match in a room full of gasoline. Reactions erupted instantly from every direction. Fans, celebrities, and media outlets didn't just take notice, they mobilized. His social media was immediately flooded with an outpouring of support. People weren't just commenting, they were rallying behind him with heartfelt messages, praise for his courage, and growing calls for accountability. Many longtime followers admitted they always felt something wasn't quite right behind Diddy's polished public persona, and now those lingering suspicions are starting to feel justified. The tide is turning, and the narrative is shifting fast. Even within Hollywood's tightly wound circles, the ripple effect has started. Some stars opted for subtlety, dropping cryptic posts that clearly hinted at their stance. Others chose a bolder path, openly calling for the entertainment industry to take these claims seriously and stop turning a blind eye. And then there's the digital fallout. Several high-profile names who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Diddy have now quietly unfollowed him. No big statements, no dramatic posts, just silence. But in a world where silence is a statement, that quiet is starting to speak volumes.